It's time to go inside innovation, brought to you by Allegion, pioneering safety. Well, as Indiana businesses begin to reopen, the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, in partnership with Cummins, have released guides to share emerging best practices for reopening the workplace, whether it's the shop or warehouse floor, the office, or a service center. These are all unprecedented times, this time of COVID-19. And I'm pleased to welcome to the show CICP CEO David Johnson and Cummins CEO Tom Linebarger with more on these playbooks and how they can make a difference for Hoosier businesses. They're joining us via Skype. And gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gary.
David,
Gary.
I'll start with you, David, to kind of tee things up. These playbooks, why create these? And as I understand it, they are really in-depth. They're not just checklists, and they are some of the most, perhaps the most in-depth playbook for reopening in the United States.
Gary, they are. Thank you. The reason is, unfortunately, that we live in an era of COVID-19 that may go on for some time. Until there's a vaccine, we could be looking at another year, 18 months or more. We have to have social distancing and a lot of different things in our lives that none of us are accustomed to. And Tom Linebarger and his team at Cummins, who have been living with COVID-19 really since January when it affected their operations in China, have really given a lot, both to the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership and to the community and the state, by helping to think through and work through what you actually would do if you were trying to go back into the workplace and make it as productive as it can possibly be in an era of social distancing. And these playbooks they reflect deep experience from Cummins. They reflect the best wisdom that's available publicly. They're linked to the Centers for Disease Control websites, which is important because they'll continue to be updated with that information as we go. But there are rich documents that reflect just incredible amounts of good judgment and wisdom and practical advice on how to do something really hard.
Yeah, and really hard indeed. And Tom, I don't envy you and others at Cummins and the job you have before you from a manufacturing standpoint, from an office standpoint, and that breadth and size of the challenge, I think really positions you very well to contribute to this playbook.
Unfortunately, that's true. We have been dealing with the significant challenges of this pandemic now, as David said, since January in China. And our workforce has just reacted with innovation, enthusiasm, and a real sense of duty about how to create a safe workplace where their members of their family that work for Cummins all feel as safe as they can feel under the circumstances. And they're all been at it really for months now, kind of come up with the best practices they could find. And we have, these practices aren't all developed by Cummins by a long shot. We basically talked to every one of our suppliers, customers, peers, and said, tell us all the things that you're doing. And we researched all those. We put in place practices for how to keep social distancing in a manufacturing plant. That often means relaying out the line and changing the way work is done at the plant. We talked about protective equipment, like when you should wear masks, when you should wear something even more protective if you're going to be in contact with somebody or close to somebody for more than once in a day. And then also screening, how do we do screening questions? How do we get people in and out of the door without them coming in contact with each other? There's just so many details to think about. That we compiled all this work together, and we were looking at it together, reviewing it in one of our meetings when I said to the team, I said, this is really great work. And there's a lot of companies out there that have to practice the same practices and maybe don't have the resources that Cummins has. Let's see if we can share some of this back with them. And that's when I started talking with David and the people at CICP, and the rest is the work that their team has done to make it applicable for businesses of all sizes in Indiana.
Yeah, real resource. David, unfortunately, we're very short on time, but these playbooks deal with manufacturing, logistics, the office environment, sales and service operations. Very quickly, how can folks access this content, these playbooks?
They can be directly accessed and downloaded on our website, CICPindiana.com.
All right, this real resource, these playbooks for businesses of all sizes and across all sectors. David Johnson is the CEO at the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership. Tom Linebarger, the CEO at Cummins. Gentlemen, thank you both very much, and thanks for the work you're doing as well.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks for having us.